but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds away. And won't you please say hello to the folks that I
Mr. Fulton, to the stage, please. Mr. Mulroy, to the stage, please.
all together now.
Here we go again, Josie.
That's very good.
But I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
Hello there!
Hello
Hello
there!
there!
Ah, thank you most securely. Oh, what a wonderful reception that was, I must say. I mean, I must thank you from the bottom of my heart, and of course Francie's bottom as well. And I would just like to say how delightful we are for to be here tonight and have this opportunity of exposing ourselves to you. That right, Francie?
Sure, Josie, sure, Josie, sure, sure, sure. Magic.
Oh, my thing, that was some greeting, wasn't
Oh,
it?
it was just magic, magic,
What
magic.
a greeting.
What?
A damn sight better than the greeting we got the first time we were in this theatre.
Oh, aye. There's only two folk turned up. And we were all greeting. Of course, Josie, that all changed when they put us on the telly.
Oh,
Remember
the power of television. That was a way back in the 60s.
In the 60s.
Yeah, it was a way back in the 60s, the 60s were amazing, you know, weren't they?
You're right, Josie. The 60s were pure neuralgia.
Oh,
Pure neuralgia.
that's nostalgia, Francie. Nostalgia, aye. Neuralgia's a kind of pain in the neck.
That's what I said. Pure neuralgia.
How did you not like the 60s?
No, I didn't fancy it. You know who let us do?
Who?
The Teddy Boys.
Oh,
The way they dressed on was ridiculous.
ah. It's embarrassing, that.
It wasn't it?
Oh. And the hairdos they had.
Aye.
You know, they never washed their hair, these fellas.
That's right.
Never washed their hair, just went in for an oil change.
And what about the Teddy Boy that went to the barber for a haircut? And he said he wanted a pattern right across the top of his head, this way, from ear to ear.
Did a pattern, what side he was?
Aye.
What happened to him?
He get fed up. Folk whispered up his nose.
Mind you, we were never Teddy Boys.
Not really.
A lot of people made the mistake of thinking we were the Teddy Boys. We were the Tony Boys. Eh? I mean, these suits have been especially made by Mr. Ralph Slater himself. Oh, yes. Personally,
Yes.
by his own horn.
And I threaded the needle.
See, in the old days, you see, that we were called Tony Boys because these suits were cut in the Italian style, as seen in the Italian Riviera.
Lads.
Laugh.
Oh, Josie, mind the hot pea specials at Lads.
Oh, I wonder.
And they served the fish suppers in wee cardboard trays in order to keep the grease off the holding on. And Josie, remember the night we walked into Nardini's and we actually sat inside?
Aye.
What a thrill!
Oh, it was the first time we had never been flung out.
And Josie, that's when you introduced me to coffee with dromedary sugar. See? It's the first time I'd ever had it.
Had what?
Coffee with dromedary sugar.
Oh, aye. Did you have one hump or two? I'll tell you another thing. It was you that introduced me to Chinese food.
That's right, I did.
Remember that? We took a couple of birds into the Chinese restaurant.
That's right. But remember, we took these lasses in before you went in. You took cold feet, you said to me, Francie, I am not having a chinky meal. I am going to have a fish dipper.
Well, I didn't fancy the notice in the windy.
What was that? I never see it.
We don't remember the big notice in the windy. Salmonella, the way your mother used to make it. And I'll tell you something else about that. There was no salt and pepper on the table.
Oh, we know about that. Oh, the
Well, I
fuss you
like
take
salt
off.
and pepper
I
on my
know.
fish supper, if you don't mind.
But the fuss
And
you
could
take
I get a
off.
hold of the waiter?
What was that?
Well, you remember, I was trying to catch the attention of that young wee chinky waiter. You know, the one with the funny walk. And I was wanting him to come over here and get, eh?
The wee, what was that you said today? The wee chinky waiter with a funny walk.
Ah.
You didn't do that last night. Josie, that's a whimper. Keep it in, keep it in. That's really a stoner. The wee chinky waiter with a funny walk. Do you know? Do you know, see the connection? You know how the Chinese cook with a walk? And I'm thinking about this wee Chinese waiter with a funny walk. I'll keep it in. I'll mind you tomorrow night, I'll go W-O-K.
That's not how you spell walk.
You mean?
W-A-L-K is walk.
No, it's a walk. It's a thing they use for cooking with. It's a kind of tin base with a handle. And the island, a wee drop of rice. Now, 3 minutes later, flag lights. That's how I laugh, because you said the wee Chinese waiter with a funny walk.
Are you trying to tell me the Chinese walk different for us?
No! Just the way you said it. It was just the wee Chinese waiter. And I kept thinking of this was a good way. The wee Chinese waiter. Oh, you come out with some stone, doesn't it? Oh, keep it in. It's a funny. No, it wasn't funny at all. It was funny.
All I wanted was salt and pepper.
We know that. The blooming fuss you kicked up with the salt and the pepper.
Yeah.
We drop a wee salt. Listen, it was me that fixed it up.
Well, you were the only one that spoke Chinese.
I'd been there before. I called the other waiter over, and he came right up to the table, but he didn't have a walk. He stood there.
How the hell can he get to the table if he didn't walk?
Josie, what I'm trying to tell you, the only folk that use walks are the folk in the kitchen. You know, the chefs, they use a walk. But the waiters, they don't have a walk. They just have a pad and a pencil to take your order. So when he got to the table, I says, "Hey, Wong." I knew his name had been there before. I says, "Hey, Wong." He says, "Where you are? Where you are? Where you are?" I says, "I'll tell you where you are. My pal wants some salt." He says, "You want salt? You want salt?" Might have been in his right hand trouser pocket. And he grew a wee drop of loose salt. And he sprinkled it on your face. And I says, "Wong, when you're here, what with the pepper?" He says, "You want pepper? You want pepper?" In his left-hand trouser pocket. He fiddled about and he got a wee drop of loose pepper, and he sprinkled it on your face.
Just a good job I didn't ask for the vinegar, eh?
wouldn't have got vinegar anyway.
How?
He didn't have another pocket. Oh, but Josie, that was a very romantic night. The two girls in that Chinese restaurant, a candlelight dinner, a young chow fried rice, and a gin and persil. A gin and persil. To clean the mouth out. Hey, Josie, I must ask you, we keep doing this, the two of us. We call them birds. They're lasses. Why do we call them birds?
Oh, the birds.
Aye.
Well, that goes way back to primary school.
Primary school?
Aye.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, remember in primary school we got sex lessons. Now remember the teacher giving us lessons on sex.
Sex lesson in primary school?
Aye.
Oh, but Josie, that was just theory.
I think that's as far as you're supposed to go in primary school. You remember the teacher was trying to explain the difference between the sexes.
Between the sexes, right?
Ah. So she used what you call an analogy.
Good.
And she was trying to give the example by using the birds and the bees as examples of the difference in sexes. See? And that's how the lassies got the name of birds. That's why we call them birds. Because they were the birds and the boys were the bees.
Well, you see, it's a long time since I was at school. I can't mind about it. I mind vaguely something about the birds and the bees, but I can't just...
You got awful confused.
No, I didn't get... What do you mean?
You did. You didn't know whether you were talking about a bird or a boy or a bee or a lassie. You know.
Josie, that's a lie. I never got confused at all.
Of course you did.
How do you mean I got confused?
Well, what was it you did the first time you took a lassie to the pictures? Go and tell them. Tell the China.
I took her a box of worms.
A box of worms.
Now, Josie, I wouldn't have brought that up.
No, but she did.
No, she didn't. Right on, my good trousers. I'll tell you something, Josie. There's nobody to tell me that I don't know about the birds and bees now. I know all about them.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that.
No?
You weren't all that happy with that wee lassie you met in Largs.
Oh, that was Sandra.
What was that her name? That's a common name, that. Every Tom, Dick and Harry's called Sandra these days.
Wee Sandra was all right.
She was 18.
That's right, she was just 18.
She was 18 stones in weight. Never seen such a fat wee barra in my life.
Oh, she was fat. But she was, although she was fat, she was very approachable.
From every direction. Do you know she couldn't have elastic round her knickers?
No elastic knickers?
No.
What did she have?
Swiss rail.
Oh, but Josie, talking of birds, we met a lot of birds when we started with Francie and Josie in Glasgow. In the city.
The Glasgow birds.
Oh, the Glasgow.
Especially at the jigging.
Oh,
very,
see
very
these
classy.
Glasgow birds at the jigging. They were nyucky. And mind the routine, when the jigging was over, we used to wait outside the women's toilet till they got their coats.
They always handed over their dancing pumps for you to carry for them. You
The
remember
pumps
that?
in the days, aye. And you could always tell Josie whereabouts the comfy with the newspaper with the wrapped in.
Aye.
If it was the Herald, the comfy giftnook.
I found that awful embarrassing.
You didn't like it?
No, carrying dancing pumps wrapped in newspaper.
I know.
I didn't like that much. In fact, I used to carry it very carefully, you see, and blow on it so as folk would think it was a fish supper. You know?
That's right, I minded that. Oh, it was funny that. And then when that was over, remember, that was the best part of the night. Remember, Josie, remember what we did? Whatever, Josie! Whatever, Josie! Well,
Must have been hell of a good one.
just thinking of it then. We walked them home to their tenement, into the close, up against the wall, for a snogging session. Eking up and doing the close booth.
Well, of course, I never done that.
Well, I know you were in the close.
I was in the close, aye. But I was more interested in her mind.
Her mind? What's her mind got to do with it? Are you standing there in your full regalia, telling your old China that you never got anything up the back close.
Of course I did.
What?
The measles. Anyway, there's more to life than big suckers up a
Oh,
close.
there's no, the big sugar's more.
I like to discuss important issues with people.
Oh,
I like to talk about the meaning of life and that. It's the only way that human beings can pass things on to one another.
That's right. Well, that bird passed it on to you when she gave you the measles.
See, there's no point in talking to you.
I'm sorry,
Your
Jim.
brain contains nothing but a great superfluous hold. A big hold where all the superfluous bone matter has gone. And it's still up there. And you could have a lobotomy. That's where they cut the top of your head off to look in and see if there's anything there. But you wouldn't need the operation, because I could tell them.
So exactly just... This is very complicated. Exactly just... To get this done in the National Health. It's very... What does it mean?
It simply means that the house upstairs is to let. I mean, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Francie, but you are seriously lacking in culture.
Oh, there he goes again with this word, culture. Oh, tell me culture. Culture. Always talking about culture.
Culture is very important.
Ah.
It is. You ask Pat Lally. I mean, have you read Shakespeare?
No.
Have you read Dickens?
No.
What have you read?
I've read pajamas. Ha ha! Got you there.
I'm talking about books, Francie. Books.
Ah, book.
You know what a book is?
Yes, that's something you take when you go betting at the Gigi's, Ladbroke.
Oh, a book. A book is a collection of small dots of white paper, all stuck together at one end. That's a book.
That?
Ah.
Oh, we've got one of them at home. We just keep it for friends.
And what's it called?
Andrex.
You see, there's only one way to describe you, and that is illiterate.
Josie, you cut this illiterate stuff out. Cut the illiterate stuff out. I'll have you know that my mother and father...
I'm not talking about your mother and father. I am talking about literature.
Oh.
I'm surprised at you, you know. I mean, a Scotsman, you know nothing about all the famous Scotsmen that were born in this country.
What do you mean a Scotsman?
All
I'm
the
a
famous
Scotsman.
men in history.
Like who?
Well, what about writers, for example, like Robert Louis Stevenson or Louis Grassic Gibbon?
There you are.
All the famous Scots that you could read about, you never have.
Sure.
And of course, the king of them all.
Who's that?
Sir Walter Scott.
Sir Walter Scott.
Well, go on. Tell us what you know about Sir Walter Scott's works.
Sir Walter Scott's works.
Sir Walter Scott's works.
Scott's works.
Tell
Well, wait,
us.
I don't rush us. I didn't know you were going to ask me these things. I'm no stupid. I'll get thinking now. Scott's works. What do they make? Why you laugh?
Sir Walter Scott's works, what do they make?
Aye.
What does Sir Walter Scott's works make?
Well, what do they make?
Scott's porridge oats, of course.
Sweet violet, sweeter than the roses, covered all over from head to toe, covered all over with sweet violet. There was a young miner who worked down the pits, who fancied a girl who had fabulous earrings and lived with her folks in Lochgelly. The neighbours all noticed she had a big garden, although they were really quite poor. One of the residents called her a Sweetheart, the way she looked after her folks. Her father was minging, he'd give you the sweet violin.
Sweeter than the roses.
Sweeter than the roses, covered all over from head to toe, covered all over with sweet violets. The farmer she worked for was quite thrilled to bits, 'cause just like the miner, he'd noticed her earrings and trained her to run his farmstead. The farmer was eager to get her to like him and put her in charge like a fool, 'cause one day he found she'd been milking the profits and made herself really quite rich. He called her a strumpet, he called her a sweet violin.
Sweeter than the roses.
Sweeter than the roses, covered all over from head to toe, covered all over with sweet violets. The next day the farmer was all teeth and smiles, explained he got angry because he had problems, and asked if she'd like to be kissed. The young girl refused 'cause she knew he was puzzled. He sat her and called for a taxi. She told him to shove his job right up his jumper because she was happy to quit. She belted him one and he fell in the sweet violin. Sweeter than the roses, covered all over from head to toe, covered all over with sweet violin. And so she returned to the boy-in-law Gelly and offered her love and her rather large by hook. Young miner knelt to propose, then went out and bought her a ring for her finger, and with it he offered his heart. She got so excited she let off. Firework. Their wedding day. From that day to this they have rolled in the sweet violin.
All together, sweeter than the roses.
Sweeter than the roses, covered all over from head to toe, covered all over with sweet violin.
Great to be back in Glasgow, isn't it?
Oh, it's great back in the city.
Oh, thanks. What a place. I was walking around the town the other day there, you know. I was just thinking about all the beautiful buildings we've got.
Oh, lovely.
Really beautiful. Some of the buildings in Glasgow would take your breath away.
You're right, Josie. Like the fish market.
Well, no, I was actually thinking the old established buildings,
Oh,
you know.
lovely stuff.
I mean, I don't think there's any reason to doubt why Glasgow has been defecated the city of architects. A very strong Roman influence in Glasgow.
A Roman influence?
A Roman
I never knew that,
influence.
Josie.
Aye, oh yeah.
I'm learning a lot tonight.
Well, they built a wall, didn't they?
They built a wall.
They built a wall. It goes all the way across the country, from the Clyde to the Forth. It goes right through Glasgow.
Did you credit that?
Aye.
A wall.
A wall, and you can still see bits of that. Antonine's Wall, it's called.
Antonine.
If ever you want to see Runit, you ask for Antonine, he'll show you that.
Antonine.
Oh, yeah.
Mad.
You see, what happened was the Romans, they belted up through England without any bother at all.
But good fighters, good fighters.
And then they got into Scotland.
Sure.
And about a quarter of the way up, they were stopped dead in their tracks.
Where is this, Josie?
Bearsden. They just couldn't get into Bearsden
How was that, Josie?
because they hadn't been invited. You know, it was a monk that saved us from the Roman invasion.
A monk.
A monk, a Scottish monk.
He come from Monklands.
He come. Oh no, he came from Ayrshire.
An Ayrshire monk.
He was disguised as a singer. He went about disguised as a singer.
Like
you
a
see.
troubadour.
Well, a troubadour
Good,
or a
good,
minstrel, aye.
good.
And he told the Bearsden folk what to do to stop the Roman invasion.
That was good.
He told them to dig great big holes in the road. Great big craters all over the road, and that stopped the Roman advance.
My God, that was a brilliant idea, Josie.
That wasn't it, huh?
And the holes are still there. Every street in Glasgow's full of holes. That's why they call Glasgow the Holy City.
You see, the thing was, they couldn't shut the Romans, you know, they couldn't get them out. So this monk, he decided to take charge of himself. So he whipped off his disguise, and he was revealed as one of the most famous and most loved monk ever. His name was Sidney the Divine.
My God, here's Sidney getting a walloping again. Sidney the Divine.
Aye.
And Josie, did he get rid of the Romans?
Aye, he signed to them.
Tiny bubbles. Well, Josie, I think that's a marvellous story.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did, every minute of it. I never heard that before. And do you think you can still see bits of this Tony, what's his name?
Antonine's Wall.
Antonine's Wall.
Antonine's Wall. There's a whole lot of stuff like that that
Oh, it's mad.
Glasgow demolished and got rid of and all that.
Aye, they've knocked it too bad. As a matter of fact, I think they get rid of too many old-fashioned things that people really enjoyed. Am I right? Yes. The likes of you and me. Now. Wait a minute now. Listen, Josie. When I think about Glasgow, when I was a youth, when I... What a bloody memory. When I was a youth, do you know what I loved about Glasgow?
What?
The old tram cars.
Oh, the tram
The
car.
Glasgow tram car.
Terrific. Everybody loved the tram
Oh, they
car.
did, they did.
And am I not right in thinking they're bringing them back?
You're right. Pat Larry's going to see to that. He's talking about it. And you know the length they were before. They're going to make them 4 times that. Great big long cars. You get in one end, you walk along, you go to the other end, and you're there where you were going. And the first car they make, Pat Lally's going to pull it round the George Square with his chain.
Well, I'll tell you what I used to like about the tram cars. The wonderful jokes they told.
Oh, there's some weird jokes.
Oh, some terrific jokes about the tram cars, the conductresses and all that stuff. It was really typical Glasgow humour.
It was, Joseph.
Oh, remember the jokes, the wonderful jokes
They told about the dear old tram.
making you smile, a penny a mile, causing all those traffic jams. Conductors rushing up and down, collecting the fares,
and shouting to the passengers, there's one inside, two up the stairs. Remember the joke,
the wonderful joke they told about the dear old tram.
Hey, Francie,
What was
you
that,
remember the
Josie?
one about the sailor?
Oh, what was that one
You
again?
remember this sailor? He was sitting up on the top deck of the tram car with his kit bag and everything, ready to go abroad. And one of the passengers came across and had a wee word with him and asked him where he was going. And the sailor said, well, sir, as a matter of fact, I am heading for the China Seas. And thank God this is the worst of my journey over. Oh, remember the joke?
The wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
Oh, Josie, and what about the old man sitting gazing out the car window like that?
Oh, and the conductor came up and said, excuse me, sir, excuse me.
Yes.
Your wife got off 5 stops ago.
Oh, thank God you told me. I thought I'd gone deaf.
Oh, remember the joke?
The wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
I remember the one. This fella jumped on the tram car and he said to the conductor, "Do you go to? Could you take me to? Does this car go to?" Then he jumped off. He said, "It's all right. I'm there."
Oh, remember the jokes, the wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
Oh, Josie, what about the fella that jumped in the car and he says, conductor, how much is it to the Maryhill Road? He says, it's 2 pence. So he jumped off and he ran right behind the car for a good mile. Jumped on again. He says, conductor, how much is it to the Maryhill Road now? He says, it's 10 pence. You've been running the wrong way.
Oh, remember the joke?
The wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
Oh, and do you remember the sad story?
What was that one?
That poor dear old woman.
Oh, aye.
She would never go upstairs in a tram car because there was no driver.
I love that. Surely got to a new driver.
I just said that.
Oh, I said that. Oh, aye. I thought I'd heard it somewhere. Listen, Josie, you know the other one about the big woman, the big kind of fat woman?
Oh, what a size
Oh,
she was. She was a great big woman.
She
that
wasn't
one.
big, she was huge. And the car was full, she couldn't get a seat. And the loudest voice you ever heard, she said, is there not one gentleman willing to stand up and let a lady sit down?
This tiny wee fella got out of his seat. He said, all right, missus, come on. I'll make a contribution.
Oh, remember the jokes, the wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
And Josie, what about the other one, the old woman? Oh, she's well over 70. Car was full, she couldn't get a seat, and she stood there for ages and ages and ages.
Oh, and one of the passengers got quite angry about
Did
it.
he?
He got hold of the conductor. He said, conductor, he said, this poor dear old lady has been stoned here for I don't know how long, and it's time you did something about it.
And he did.
What?
He flung her off at the next stove.
Oh, remember the jokes, the wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
Well, you remember one about the fella who tried to get on the tram car with his dog?
Oh, that's a good one. Come on, Rover. Come on, Rover.
Oh, wait. You can't bring livestock onto a tram car.
How no? It's a public convenience.
I'm in charge of this public convenience.
I know you are.
You cannot get on the tram car with that dog, I'm telling you now.
Don't worry yourself. We'll go upstairs. The dog likes to see where it's
I
gone.
don't care what the dog wants, it's what I want that I'm concerned with now. You can't come on the car with that dog.
I'm going to tell you something. That's no a dog. That's a whippet.
Well, whip it to hell off the car.
Well, you know what you can do with your car.
If you'd done that with your whippet, you would have got on the car.
remember the jokes, the wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
They didn't have to eat the pants they were riding these days. What about that fella sitting in the seat? And the next seat to him, there was the biggest parcel you ever saw. Huge, like that.
Oh, and the conductor came up and said, hey, excuse me,
What is it?
that seat is for sitting on, it's not for parcels. Get the parcel off the seat now.
And the fella says, no.
Listen, get that parcel off that seat. You've just been instructed.
No.
If you don't get that parcel off that seat, I'll fling it out the window.
I would like to see you try it.
Oh, would you? Well, I'll show you.
Good.
Here's your parcel. There it is, out the window. What have you got to say to that?
Nothing. It's no my parcel.
Remember the jokes?
The wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
Oh, and what about the very posh lady?
Oh, yes, that's a good
Very posh lady come on the tram car with her son. She said to the conductor, 1.5, please.
Oh, 1.5. Hey, missus, you can't get a whole fare for a boy that size. That boy's wearing long trousers. That boy's 16 if he's a day.
I beg your pardon, I've only been married for 13 years.
Listen, missus, I'm here to collect fares, no confessions.
I have never been so insulted in all my life.
Have you never been to the housing department? I'm telling you, can't get a half fare for a boy that size. The rules and regulations are half fare only if you're wearing very short pants.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'll take the hair.
And the wee woman sitting in the other side says, hey. If that's the way you work, I'm due my money back.
Remember the jokes?
The wonderful jokes they told about the dear old tram.
Oh, but Josie, you know my favourite?
What's your
The
favourite?
big Highlander, big shooter, full kilt regalia. He sat in the car and he said to the conductor, a tuppenny one. And the conductor says, very good, sir, but you have to pay for your dunk. I'll have to pay for my wit, you're dumb. I says, don't be stupid, man, you're a can. You're off a stupid man, you can. Stupid man, you can.
Somebody working you from the back.
You're a stupid man, you can. That's no a dunk. That's my spawn. And a wee lady sitting opposite said to the conductor, do you know, I was very worried about that. Because I offered her a biscuit and they wouldn't take it. All right.
Remember the jokes?
The wonderful jokes they told about the dear old, they told about the dear old, they told about the dear old tram.
Yes! Fabulous!
Hey,
What is that, just?
you know what I've just remembered?
What is that?
Tomorrow's your Auntie Jessie's birthday.
It's no tomorrow. So it is. What will we get her this year?
What about a nice bottle of vintage Buckfast?
No. That's something better than that. I saw it advertised in the telly. It's made in Paris. It's a deodorant. And do you know the name of it?
What?
Vanish.
Vanish.
Vanish. She sprays it all out herself. She disappears. Then everybody wonders where the smell's coming from. That's a woman. She sprays all over herself, disappears, then everybody wonders where the smell's coming. Auntie Jess, you'll love that.
Do we have to go to Paris for that?
No! It's made in Paris. They sell it in bushes.
Ah.
No, it's good. It's
Oh, well, I'm glad we've got that settled.
very expensive. Will you half it?
Certainly.
Well, there you are. That's it.
Well, your Auntie Jessie was very good to us.
She was.
After all, she brought us up when both our families ran away from home.
And we've never been apart ever since.
No, that's amazing, that, isn't it?
It is.
Here we are, one Tim, one Proddy. One Tim, one Proddy, and two inseparable children.